Howdy, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the 7-Day Boogie podcast. If you're watching, nice to see ya. If you're listening, thanks for listening. Either way, thanks for stopping by. Now, we're going to get right into it because this episode is important. Because, like I said on the last episode, I have brought the 7-Day Boogie back. And what was the reason for me doing it? I love doing it, obviously, but I'm also a person that creative pursuits allow me to get out a lot of the stress or anxieties that I feel in my everyday life. Doing things creatively really has helped me build confidence in a lot of areas in my life. And not gonna lie, I had a rough week this week, and previously in my life, I've allowed tough times to kind of pull me away from creative pursuits for one reason or another. And right now I'm trying through tough times, through good times, through bad times, just get stuff out there. Just stick with it. Be consistent. Again, in previous hard times in my life, I've allowed those tough times to discourage me from being creative. But I tell people all the time, if they're having a tough time, to lean into those hobbies, to lean into the things that make you who you are, because that can really kind of ground you personally and help you to get your mind elsewhere when things are tough. So I am taking my own advice. And even though I had a tough week, I am on the couch recording the 7-Day Boogie. And frankly, I had a blast watching movies and taking notes on stuff this week because it's fun to do. Point blank, period. Fun to do. We love making the 7-Day Boogie, and I love that you stopped by. So, personal stuff out of the way, we're moving on to the movie of the week. Now, there's a lot of movies out there. And if you listened to the 7-Day Boogie previously, I was focused a lot on horror movies. I talked to friends about scary movies. I talked to myself about scary movies mostly. And while I do still love the scary movie, we will be spooky most of the time here. I can put little twists on the spooky for what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? Because you can just trudge through a genre and watch a bunch of same-ish content. But if you put yourself into a framework of thinking, I'm looking for this in a movie, let's look for this in a movie, you can have a lot more fun, is what I'm saying. So right now, if you know me, you know I'm a big Dark Souls fan. Gamers got a game. In a game that I have found, a series that I have found, thanks to my number one trusted gamer lord, you know who you are, showed me Dark Souls 3 a couple years ago. I've been obsessed with the From Software dark fantasy games. Most of my experience is in Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, because those are the first games that I played. I have since gone back and I've dabbled in the earlier games that they've come out with. I've beaten most of Sekiro. I'm too scared to beat Bloodborne. So my primary focus, also I love medieval fantasy. So Dark Souls and Elden Ring is like right in my wheelhouse. So what I have done is I am on a search. I don't know. I've heard that there is an Elden Ring movie coming out. I've heard things about that. That scares me because I've said this before. I think that some stories are too dense to be told as movies or television shows. They need to be explorable worlds. They need to have the player character able to explore these things with as much detail as they want to. And Dark Souls is one of those games. Control is another one of those games. BioShock is another one of those games. Games that have a world so dense and have so many things going on that like a 10 episode series is not going to be able to do it. Multiple seasons, not going to be able to do it. A trilogy of 2+ hour movies is, in my opinion, not going to be able to cover what the player character can learn about that world in a video game. Dark Souls, again, is like my number one example of this story is supposed to be a video game. Even though I get all of the lore from VatiVidya. But I am searching for the most Dark Souls movie. The darkest Soulsist movie right now. And I think I've found a pretty good candidate, and it's a movie that I totally missed growing up. Solomon Kane. What makes something a Dark Souls-ish movie? Maybe we should start there. What are tropes of the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring, From Software storytelling that I am searching for within a movie? Obviously, dark fantasy setting. Check. Medieval combat with cool weapons. Bonfires. Several odd characters coming in and out of the story at different points. Cool fights. I mean, well, the list goes on. There could be a boss battle at some point. There could be fog in the movie, and I would say that's like Dark Souls. There's fog in Dark Souls. But mainly dark fantasy setting, a main character on a near impossible foretold task, and a lot of cool fighting. We'll start there. Let's just start there. And Solomon Kane checks all of those boxes in like the first 2 minutes of the movie. I will say Solomon Kane, it came out in like the early 2000s. I think 2009. Editor Boogieman, will you please correct me if I'm wrong? Insert the release date here.
2009 is correct.
I think it came out around the same time as that Van Helsing movie and like a couple other maybe grim, dark movies that didn't do very well. So I think this movie, at least for me, just got kind of grouped in and forgotten about as like not Lord of the Rings or like not the Dark Crystal, you know. This movie rips. If I would have seen this movie as a kid, I would have been so hyped on this. Now, I think Solomon Kane originated as like a pulp comic character. He's kind of this like demon hunting, Puritan, vengeful badass. I would say is how I would categorize him. But this movie kind of encompasses his whole story, right? So he starts the movie as a sea captain, fighting a lot of things. The opening is super Dark Souls. Now, a lot of my frames of references, here's what we're going to do. We are going to go over the script or the general outline of the movie. Then I'm going to put my thinking cap on and I'm going to go through and pull out the references from the movie that I think are Souls-like. That's the fun game for me, is how I can twist something into being inspired by something that came out after it. Now, again, most of my points of reference for the dark fantasy From Software series Dark Souls are going to be coming from Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. How many times do I got to say it? I've played those games a ton. I've played the other games a bit. Those two I've got a lot of information on. So that is where most of my frames of reference are coming from. Now, beginning of this movie, right out the gates, Solomon Kane opens gates. He's a ship captain, kind of just a raider, let's say, like coming into your village and taking all your stuff, killing everybody that doesn't want him to take all of their stuff. So he blasts these gates open. He and his boys come to siege the castle. This part so far not very Dark Soulsy, because you don't really have like companions in the Dark Souls games. You can summon characters sometimes to help you, but you never are really like raiding a castle with a bunch of your best friends. So what is Dark Souls, though, is that he's a dexterity build. He's dual wielding swords. Very cool. And they establish early on Solomon Kane is sick with it. He is good with the swords, good with the blades. It's hard to stop this guy, but he's running through. Cool fight scene in the beginning, slaying demons, moving forward. Here's where some more Dark Souls stuff happens. They get into this chamber, right? And a big thing in Dark Souls is that you'll walk into a room and there will be things in there that you don't think are going to move, but they're 100% going to move. So in a great example, Dark Souls 3, there is a village where you come across these hanging baskets of bodies, and you're like, that's horrific. But then it gets worse because they'd fall to the ground and then run at you like a spider and try to kill you. So that is terrifying. What is similar with Solomon Kane's opening is they walk into a room and it's full of mirrors. Right? And right away, you're like, no, thank you. Like just a hallway with mirrors facing in towards the hallway. Very strange. So they all get pulled. There's like demons in the mirrors, and then they all get surprised. A lot of Solomon's guys get yoinked from existence into these mirrors by demons. So that's tight. That's pretty Dark Souls. I can definitely see that happening. You get trapped by stuff a lot. I'm actually pretty sure that there are I know it in Dark Souls 3, there are just arms that come out of a bookshelf and they can grab you, and that's super annoying. So not uncommon to be grabbed by an inanimate object. We're putting that in the Dark Souls reference tier. Now, what also happens in this is that a demon comes out, and this guy, a black hooded figure, demonic, powerful. This dude has a name and a big health bar. This is a boss for sure. And very similar to Dark Souls games, Solomon Kane loses to this first boss. A scripted death, if you will. Solomon Kane does poorly against this first boss. He's got a really cool flaming sword, a boss weapon. Very Dark Souls. Souls-ish. He's got a boss weapon. Kicks Solomon Kane to the ground. Solomon Kane switches from a dex build to a faith build. He puts down the swords and he picks up a staff and the good book. And lives at a monastery. But for one reason or another, he is told, you gotta go. You've healed here. You've changed your life here. Your time at our house is done. And I've been there. I've been the guy that's been like, come hang out. Come whenever you want. Come on over. Bring him on over. And then you like turn this guy into a faith build, and you give him robes, and you give him a staff, and you teach him about peace. And then you say you gotta move on. You know? So Solomon's bummed, but he starts walking, and a nice family picks him up. And the guy, the dad of the family, is in a bunch of movies. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that sells the glowing worms to James in James and the Giant Peach. I'm not going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. He and his family come across Solomon Kane, who originally denies their offer of a ride. But after Solomon Kane gets kerplunked by some bandits because he's taken a vow of peace, even though he could turn these guys into hash browns in 10 seconds. You know? He could fillet these guys quickly. He doesn't, and they in turn hit him in the head really hard and take all of his stuff. Solomon wakes up. He's been saved by that kind family, so he grows very close to them, teaching their son how to fight, kind of. The daughter of the family, makes him new clothes. He becomes a part of this family. But then, the big bad rolls up, who, to me, looks like if Leatherface was Darth Vader. Long black hair, big bulky guy, skin mask, stretched over, real horrifying presence on this guy. Rolls through with some bandits. We see him mind control the thieves that beat up Solomon Kane earlier, and they join the dark ranks. He does kind of the Sauron's hand mark. Turns thieves bad. They kidnap the daughter from the family. Solomon Kane, worried that should he continue his violent ways, his soul will be damned for eternity. Glowworm salesman tells him, if you save my daughter, your soul will be saved. So Solomon Kane goes, great, sounds good, becomes a dual build, cohesion, dex, faith. Right? Because he's got this new cool Puritan outfit on and dope swords. Right? There is a very Bloodborne part of this, I will say, because in Bloodborne you have a pistol, a one-shot pistol, or several, typically a one-shot pistol. You can use that to parry people. Solomon Kane uses that several times in the movie. Pretty tight. There's one part where he he's on a horse and there's a guy on either side, and he just pulls out the dual blicky and pops them both at the same time. Again, the fight scenes in this movie are awesome. The main guy kind of looks like Hugh Jackman, which again may have led to the Van Helsing fatigue that made me not watch this movie. But from from the beginning, the movie's rip-roaring. But from the moment where Solomon Kane is the price for me killing you is my soul will be damned, and that's a price I'm glad to pay. And then it's like that. Says something similar to that, and then it's just on. Solomon Kane slicing and dicing on a historic run through demons, meets a lot of strange characters, all the way up until the end of the movie. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end of the movie. It's dope. There's a lot of personal lore with Solomon Kane as well that I'm not going to cover, but that's the premise of the movie, right? Is a man that took a vow of peace, forced to break that vow to save someone very close to him, but also to save his soul from eternal damnation. What else can you ask from a Dark Souls movie? I loved this movie a lot. Several times I audibly said, "This is awesome," while watching the movie, taking some notes, I did watch this movie with my amazing, lovely, beautiful girlfriend, and she agreed that it was really, really cool. Maybe not as befuddled by the title as me, but she loved it as well. She's the best. She's my hero. I think that you should watch this movie. This movie is like Dark Souls in the following reasons. We already talked about some, right? Dexterity build, fast guy, 2 swords. Goes into a faith build, staff, Puritan, cross, burns, protection from demons. Seeking souls, technically, his own, to be saved by saving someone close to him. There is, in this movie, multiple bonfires where expository dialogue takes place. Classic Dark Souls trope. Big facts getting dropped at a bonfire. There is a part where the main character, Solomon Kane, trusts someone that he meets along the way and then is tricked into peeking over something to then be kicked into that thing. That is dark. That is FromSoft as heck. There's basically a Patches in this game, who, if you don't know, is a character that tricks you into looking over stuff and then kicks you into it in like every From Software game. The end boss of this game or movie has 2 phases. That's so common amongst the Dark Souls games. The list goes on and on and on. Let me see. I've got notes here. Let me see if I can pull up some more. I'm sweating. I love this movie. Oh, of course. At the I will say one thing about the end of the movie. There is like a gimmick to beating a seemingly impossible boss. Once again, a Dark Souls thing. Where you think you're gonna have to fight this thing head on, but you don't really have to fight this thing head on. You know, there's a little trick to defeating a very evil foe. But I think for like not a Dark Souls movie, there are a lot. If you watch this movie, you will see what I'm talking about. If you've played some Dark Souls games, like there are multiple not references, but resemblances, connections between comparisons. That's what I'm trying to say. So all of those things, the fighting, grimdark setting, the build changing, the impossible nature, the fighting over souls, the appearance of demons. This is a pretty Dark Souls movie. I would give Solomon Kane like a 7 out of 10 on the this is a Dark Souls movie meter. There are, in my opinion, clear comparisons between the two. I have drawn but yet a few examples from the movie. I think you should watch it. It's pretty sick. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And if you're a Dark Souls fan, let me know if you watch it and just see how much of a stretch any of my comparisons were. Come on, it'll be fun. Do you have a movie that's more Dark Souls than Solomon Kane? Email me now or comment on this video or on this podcast and give me your suggestion for a Dark Souls type movie that you want me to watch. So Solomon Kane, most Souls-like movie to date, I'll say. And you know what? Who else has something to say? I'm going to pass it over to the Frog Bard, who's gonna be giving a different type of gamer segment this week. He has some strong opinions about the new skate game. So we're going to kick it to nitpicking with the Frog Bard. Hello, it is I, the Frog Bard. Everyone knows that the new skate game is getting a lot of flack as of late for basically everything that is in the game besides the physical act of skateboarding. There's annoying dialogue, the challenges kind of suck, and just like it's annoying in several ways. Now, I did myself a favor and I muted all of the voice lines and removed all on-screen displays. So I am just out there ripping it up, which is really the whole reason I love the EA Skate games, is because you just have the ability to just pick up and go skate around the map, find fun spots, and do whatever you want. Now, again, EA bogged this game down with a ton of junk that I just don't care for. And most of it, I can ignore. Most of it. But I am here today to show some things that stuck out to me so much that I cannot turn a blind eye, because I feel like this game is mocking me for knowing about skateboarding. First thing we're going to look at is this disturbing sticker of a CD player devouring this poor, helpless CD that desperately does not want to be played. What could be on this mixtape? My junior high MySpace covers of Death Cab for Cutie songs? Why doesn't this CD want to be played? And why is this CD player so menacing and evil looking? I'm not into it. Next, you can change your profile picture in this game, and this profile image that you can unlock is called Tails Down. Except for one huge problem. The image is of someone doing a nose manual. That is the, in fact, exact opposite of having your tail down, because you're balancing on the front wheels of the skateboard. What is going on? And finally, an image that brings forth in me a rage that I was unaware that I could feel. Nose grind. What is this? This is a snotty nose doing, on a skateboard, doing a nose slide. Not a grind. We're talking about a nose slide. Come on. This has to be intentional trolling at this part, at this point. I mean, yes, there's a nose on a board. I get the joke, right? There's a nose, and it should be doing a grind. I don't know, maybe like a nose grind? Ridiculous. This is unabashed mockery of knowledge of skateboarding. EA has Beyblade specialists programming the AI BS that is in this game, and I'm out. I'm over it. I've voiced those concerns. I'm shouting into space, yelling at clouds, and I'm moving on. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go cool off in the swamp. Thank you. Thank you, Frogbard, for your gaming insights. I agree with all of them as if they were my own. This, my friends, is the unfortunate part where I have to say the episode is coming to an end. Thank you for stopping by. I, again, love doing the show. It's been really, really fun for me to get back into doing this show, and I hope you're enjoying it. Tell your friends, send it to someone you love. But what is next for the 7-Day Boogie podcast? Well, there's more movies to watch. There's more games to play. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching if you're on YouTube. Again, this is on Spotify, iTunes. It is on YouTube. There will be more stuff coming out on the YouTube channel as time goes on. So we're multimedia these days. What can I say? The 7-Day Boogie is a cinematic universe, the likes of which have never been seen. So thank you for stopping by. If you're listening, check out the video. If you're videoing, check out the listen. You know what I'm saying? We'll catch you next week. Have a good one. Mwah.